Good morning, my name is Małgorzata Sobińska. I am an assistant professor in Department of Business Intelligence in Management at Wrocław University of Economics and Business. And I am next to Katarzyna Hołowińska, who is present here, Beata, Butryn and Laura Martini, a co-author of the article titled Digitalization Impact on Higher Education, Potential and Risks. There are actually two purposes of the presentation. First, it's a discussion of the possibility of implementing technological tools at universities by indication the scope, areas, and conditions in which they should be implemented to have the least negative impact on the staff and students. And for the second, a discussion of the impact of digitization on higher education with the simultaneous identification of barriers in the transition to modern forms of education, both on part of universities and students. The speech plan is as follows. I will maybe start with a few words of introduction. So universities, like enterprises, are subject to constant pressure from the environment and are forced to take up challenges dictated by changes in the environment. Currently, as we can see, these changes are related mostly to the virtualization and digitalization of educational processes. Progressive digitization in society, in business, dynamically changing market of educational needs with new priorities in the global educational market, also the development of the knowledge-based economy determines a novel approach to the student in all universally understood educational processes. As practice shows, digitalization of education is not only an idea or a challenge, but it's a necessity. It's therefore important, with the support of modern technologies, to create universities that will be attractive and prepare students for the challenges of an increasingly digital world. The next slide points the potential of digitalization of education in higher school universities. The increasing use of the latest technologies in education is explained by the new opportunities that have been created and are still being created. The use of ICT in teaching processes intensifies and accelerates the process of acquiring knowledge, gives also a greater effectiveness of teaching. It can positively influence the creation and development of key competencies which university graduates often lack. There are such competencies like analytical and critical thinking, problem solving, or the ability to cooperate and share knowledge. The technologies used imposing specific forms of information transfer organization also cause cultural changes. Also change the scope of knowledge transfer, making it more attractive. So modern technologies not only support the didactic processes, but affect the increase in the competitiveness of universities at all. The topic of digitization of education has gained particular importance with the emergence of the pandemic and the need for a rapid transition to distance learning. We all experience it. It also turned out that such a need for a moment forced employees and students to adapt very quickly to the new remote form of work, teaching, and learning. The authorities of many universities began to consider the next steps towards virtualization and digitization, not only of teaching, but also other areas of university functioning. And all this leads to the question, in what scope, in which areas, and under what conditions should the digitalization of universities be implemented to have the least negative impact on the staff and students? Should it be maximum? Always? We think the maximum degree of digitalization can only be justified under extreme conditions such as a war or a pandemic. On the other hand, in normal everyday conditions, the degree and areas of digitization should be determined after careful analysis and considering many factors, primarily such as financial, organizational, and social. On the next slide, you can see factors influencing digitization. These are, first, financial factors related to the possibilities of acquiring and maintaining appropriate infrastructure and technical support. The second group of factors, there are organizational factors related to the specificity of universities, fields of study, and including, for example, the preparation of infrastructure, innovative programs, conducting trainings. And the last group of factors influencing digitization, there are social factors that can consider the negative psychological impact manifested, for example, in creating too weak ties between various participants of processes carried out at the universities. We also should notice that digitalization is a big challenge that requires thinking, planning, and implementing specific activities. See next slide. They are mainly continuous improvement of digital competencies of all university employees, use of tools to support and develop didactic innovations, and conducting research activities and building relationships with students and graduates through new communication channels. At the same time, this great challenge can be intensified by too much offer and suggestions for teachers, for example, connected with new systems, programs, utilities. At the same time, growing competition among providers of digital learning systems, programs, and utilities, and students who cannot, in a limited time, effectively use modern ICT tools in the field of education. Next issue are the barriers to the transition. During the implementation of each project, we may encounter various barriers. These difficulties affect both the universities and students. Barriers on the university side are usually associated with low digital competences of teachers, lack of time to participate in trainings due to excess duties, insufficient infrastructure, or fear of excessive bureaucracy and excessive control in the teaching process by the employer. The implementation of modern education tools becomes an even greater challenge when mentioned barriers on the side of universities are overlapped by barriers on the part of students. They can be associated with lack of motivation, lack of involvement in classes, limiting the time for discussions, brainstormings, limiting situations requiring critical thinking, limiting creativity by performing prepared standardized tasks, simulations, etc., overabundance of tools with which they come into contact during a brief period of study, and also insufficient infrastructure. For example, no laboratories that would allow improving the ability to use specific tools, example simulations, outside of class hours. To eliminate these barriers, the following key steps can be necessary. First, supporting universities in increasing digital competences, centralizing information systems, and making decisions based on the most accurate data sets and data-based analytics. Also supporting scientists, teachers, and university administration employees in rapid, even radical improvement of their digital competences. preparing qualified managerial staff who, understanding contemporary changes, will be able to prepare universities for the challenges of digital transformation. And changing the work culture at universities. It's very difficult, but it should happen. From functional hierarchies and silo approach to multitask teams working on a project basis. Increasing digital and analytical competences of the administrative employees, as well as educators and scientists. A continuous approach to data collected at the university, including IT systems. Continuous improvement of communication and research on the needs, motivation and commitment of employees and students. And changes in the methods of education, the use of interactive tools and alternative ways of working with the student. As one can see, it takes time, determination, and adequate motivation on each side. And now, in conclusion, I think it should be said that before starting to introduce profound changes in universities, the digitalization of universities and educational processes, it should be remembered that the teacher-student relationship plays a key role in the teaching process. That is why it is worth looking at the motives for taking actions related to the virtualization and digitalization of universities, and look for answers to the following questions. If and who wants to digitize didactics? Who and for what purpose will it be useful? And is the thesis that it is impossible to avoid the process of digitalization of didactics not only the justification of striving for total control over what is happening in the classroom? So that's it. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Małgorzata, for a very interesting presentation. I hope this time there will be more intensive discussion. So I officially start the discussion. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate and ask. Or if you have any remarks, your own thoughts, because this topic regards all of us probably. Okay, so maybe I will ask a question, although I'm not sure whether it is a question or a kind of remark. You mentioned in recommendations that we have to define new teaching methods to be able to efficiently work with those online teaching and teaching using ICT technologies. And my main thoughts is that during pandemics we wanted to teach in an old way, but using only new methods, and that was the main drawback of such approach. So my conclusion is that we wanted to have traditional lectures, laboratories, exercises, and maybe this form is not okay, not designed to be taught using those methods and using those online tools, and we should create totally new way of distance learning or learning supported by ICT. Maybe some shorter form, because I suppose every one of us, if he or she is hearing 1.5 hour lecture but online, is not able to concentrate fully on the material. And another question is about this control of teaching process. Do you really think that it is the main drawback of of this new approach, that teachers are afraid of it. If we fully teach them, if we fully deliver them information, what we know about activities, what data is gathered, maybe it will not be so difficult for them to understand and to work with. Any thoughts?
Thank you, Maciej, for your question, remarks, and I totally agree with the first part of your speech. I also think that it's very important to change the form of giving lectures and classes using ICT tools, and exactly shorten them and try to make the student more concentrated on maybe shorter lectures and maybe giving less definitions or things that are maybe too boring for students. And giving classes who activate students most. And to that, maybe one remark to the second part of your speech about the control under the process of teaching. I know that the authorities of universities can have bigger control under us, under teachers, and it's hidden aim of the virtualization of some processes, but in fact it's I think a must. So we must, I think, how to say, accustomed to it, yet to just live with it and try to follow the changes. So it's my opinion. Maybe Kasia we want to add something.
I will try to unmute Kasia if possible. I can only request unmute. Okay, Kasia.
I have a voice, I guess. Yeah, actually, to be honest, apparently the pandemic turned out it's a great possibility to find some solution and to actually discuss about this problem, because it turned out that generally the hybridization method, so is connecting the old methods and new methods, is probably the best way to to manage with these new tools. I guess, probably. I don't know what other things. Maybe this is the good moment for the discussion.
Maybe let's go to another question, because I can see that Krzysztof raised his hand, but before that, Miloš wrote the question on a chat. I will read it. At our university, we had heated discussion about recording lectures and providing these recordings to students. Some teachers did it and some didn't agree with this at all. What is your opinion on this? So please try to address this question or this remark.
So probably when we decided that we are using the methods connected with digitalization, so probably all of the participants, so the teachers and the students, should use it. I guess it's not supposed to be like some are choosing this because it's comfortable and another not. But still, when we are in pandemic, we don't have any other choice. So it's like we have to use it. But after the pandemic, we realized that we can use both of these methods. So I guess probably both of these methods should be available for the students.
As I know, the recording of lectures had happened in other private universities, for example, London School of Economics and Business years before. So maybe also we should just do it and not complain on it. So I'm not sure, but I do know that it happens at other universities in normal times also.
Okay, thank you for that. Krzysztof.
So my question is more broad. So I have a question concerning Poland versus rest of the world. Like how you assess is digitalization in Poland better than in other countries or worse? Because in case of, for example, mobile phones, I would say, and cellular networks, we've got better connection than other countries because we were later digitalized in this part of the world. But in case of education, well, I'm not so sure. What's your opinion about that?
I think this is a very good area for the research to check how to compare this to between Poland and other countries. And in fact, I think we are seriously developed more than other countries, and even more than countries like Germany or France. I don't have the research, but it's just my impression. But I think it's very good area to research, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm wondering, Milosz, do you want to add something?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, so I just wanted to quickly respond to the answer on my question. I definitely agree with this view. Like, I personally did this when I teach something. I recorded everything, then gave this to our students. But like the main argument of mainly like the older teachers was that recording the lectures will actually increase the decrease the participation, in the live lecture. And this was kind of their main argument. So maybe like what's I think it was touched upon is that with new technologies also requires, in a sense, a shift of mindset here, because my opinion is that I'm not really that strict about the form of my teaching, if it's like a live lecture or something like that, or if it's a recording, as long as it's the most effective way for students in a given situation. So if the recording helps them learn the material, why not provide it to them? But yeah, some teachers, they're really like about this. They don't like when, or they think that recordings will decrease the participation in live lectures. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Mieczysław, you wanted to ask a question?
Yes, of course, if I can.
Yeah, please.
So now my voice is here. So my question is about factors which are important of digitalization. So in your opinion, which of them seems to be the most important? So it's accidentally like pandemia, or perhaps if you are prepared some plans, and so here will be better. So your opinion, I'd like to ask.
Dear Professor, I am not sure if I understand your question. It was to
So again, you mentioned several factors of digitalization. Which of them seems to be the most important?
which factor is most important? It's hard to say.
Yes, I suppose that is hard to say, but perhaps it's we should research on it, because having some rankings of those factors will be better to take the decision about digitalization, probably.
Yeah, again, probably it's great area to the research, definitely.
Okay, thank you for that.